everyone to this week's episode of Craze's Corner. We're going to be talking about some Dynasty sells this week. Free agency is upon us. So we got some guys signing in different places. Importantly, we have some quarterback signings that you're going to want to pay attention to, not only because they're one of the most important people on the field, but because they are one of the most important people on the field for fantasy. Even if you're not starting them, you might have one of their receivers or pass catchers out of the backfield. So we got a couple we want to talk about here. Baker Mayfield is the first one we're going to start with. He signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1-year, $4 million deal that can be worth up to $8.5 million with incentives. I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I've been that way for a while now, so I'm not super in love with this for the Buccaneers, but I get what they're doing. It brings in competition for Kyle Trask. And they really needed to do that as they only had Kyle Trask on the roster. So I think this is a move that definitely helps them out. And maybe they can still be somewhat competitive for this division because the division is definitely up for grabs. The next one, Jimmy Garoppolo to the Las Vegas Raiders reunites with Josh McDaniels on a 3-year, $67.5 million deal. So that's definitely another big situation where, you have Devontae Adams there still. You bring in a guy who's going to be comfortable in the system that Josh McDaniels is comfortable with. They kind of know each other well, so that should work out well. They did trade Darren Waller, so now they're down a weapon in that regard, but they signed Jacoby Myers, so they should have enough weapons to get this offense to work if they can run an offense that makes Jimmy Garoppolo look like he did in San Francisco, where he was just okay enough to get them the win. He's not going to be able to go out there and make all these special plays. So they just got to scheme it right, and this can be an okay signing for the Las Vegas Raiders. And the last one, and perhaps the biggest news, soon-to-be New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers came out and said that he wants to be a New York Jet. He will be playing for the New York Jets. It's just a matter of time before these teams get the deals done. Trey Wingo came out on Wednesday, which is the day we're recording, and he said that 99% of this deal is in place. It's just that 1% that's been holding it up. He was the first one on the fact that Aaron Rodgers was talking to New York. He was the first one on the fact that this trade is pretty much a done deal. Now that it's come out and said, I believe that this is probably going to be done sooner rather than later. Even though your guys at ESPN and NFL Network are telling you that it could be up until the draft or the beginning of the season, they've been wrong about Aaron Rodgers this entire time. So keep that in mind when you listen to all these reports. Aaron Rodgers came out and he absolutely put them on blast. But I want to know what you guys think of the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Does he make them a Super Bowl championship caliber team? Let us know using the MEedia app. The MEedia app is a virtual press conferencing app that allows you to host a virtual press conference from your phone. So you can answer questions. You can ask people questions. There'll be athletes on the app. There's so many different things you can do. You can use it for your fantasy football league. Brag about winning. Maybe you're trying to get away with some sneaky trades. Start talking some of your players up. So go check out the app and let us know whether you think that the New York Jets will be a Super Bowl caliber team with Aaron Rodgers. Check it out on the Google Play and the App Store. And now let's welcome in our guests. We have Zach from Ocean State and Jeff and Will from MEedia. Welcome in, guys. How are we doing?
We're all back together. March Madness, baby.
Gang's back together. Band's back together.
Band's back together.
Must be getting close to football again, baby. I love it. Love it.
What's going on, man?
What's happening?
Been good. It's Wednesday right now. Our Dynasty League that we're all in just rolled over today. Draft lottery is set. I will be drafting at the 102. Zach will be drafting at the 103. But lucky for me, I have both of Zach's first and second round pick. I have the 102, the 103, the 201, 202, and 203. So I am super excited for this upcoming draft. And I'm trading Baker Mayfield to anyone who's sending offers. So Baker Mayfield won't be on my roster for very much longer. Now he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I would bring him up on this show, but unfortunately, he has no value. So I figured there was no point in bringing him up on a Dynasty Sells show. How you guys feeling in that league? You guys excited to get back, get looking at your rosters and get some trades worked out here?
Yeah. I got definitely some old baggage I need to get off my roster, man. So, but I've got a lot of young sleepers I'm kind of excited about.
They sleeping all right.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately, Zach took the quarterback position by hostage last year, so I unfortunately had it. Kudos to you, man. You play the long game. I respect it. It worked out. It was in your favor because now I'm stuck with Kenny Pickett. So yeah, I'm not sure if that was the trade. Did we do multiple trades last year in that league, or was that just one mega trade?
I think we did 2 trades, but that was the big trade. Was Kenny Pickett? I think for a first and second.
And the Raheem Mostert, right? Wasn't Raheem Mostert part of that?
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him get resigned. That feels a little bit better.
Yeah, Pickett and Mostert for KJ Hamler, a first and a second.
Yikes.
Which your draft position would have actually probably been the 105 or 106, but because of the lottery setup, I got lucky, and it was the 103. So worked out extremely well for me. Hopefully Pickett can, become an above average starting quarterback, and long term it's not that bad for you. I still got to hit on these picks.
I mean, in that league, as long as he starts for his team, I'm okay with whoever it is. So
yeah, that's why I'm trying to flip Baker right now. I plan on drafting a quarterback with either 102 or 103. So if I flip Baker for something, I can.
You brought it up in the pre-show, but I got Trey Lance coming off of IR here, so that's going to be huge for the team. So you guys think Trey Lance starting quarterback this year?
I think so. I believe so.
I think he starts a few games.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long it lasts. If he starts to slip and Brock Purdy's healthy,
yep,
you can't keep Brock Purdy out of the game after what he did last year. So it's a tough situation for the Niners to be in. And they just brought in Sam Darnold, who they're going to be paying $4 million there. So it's tough. It's quite the trio of quarterbacks to have.
Yikes. Yeah, for real. A lot pending on this season, but enough of my woes.
Maybe they'll move one. If they move one, then we might see some things start to even out. Because if they move Lance somewhere else, then okay, it'll be Sam Darnold until Purdy gets healthy. Or if they were for some reason to move Purdy, then I guess it would be Lance's team. Sam Darnold will just be there as a backup. So we'll see. We'll see lots to happen for the 49ers, but we want to talk about some dynasty sells this week. These are some guys that we're trying to get rid of. Looking at this list of players, I have a different meaning of dynasty sell than everyone else. I'm selling people at their max value that they will probably never see again. And everyone else is selling people on their way down. Kind of older guys. So you will see a difference when I read off my picks in comparison to the other guys that people are going to be reading off of. I'm just trying to capitalize, get myself some picks here. So this is what I'm trying to do here. Will, don't kill me. But my first dynasty sell is going to be Tony Pollard. Zeke is gone. This is the best time you could ever try and sell Tony Pollard. He's currently by far the best running back on the team. So you have that. Everyone knows he's that. Everyone's super excited. He just got franchise tag coming off his career year. Everyone's hyped about that. I think that the hype surrounding Tony Pollard can only go down from here if they, A, draft a running back, or B, sign another running back in free agency. So for me, this is the perfect time. If you have Tony Pollard, you've been waiting for this moment. Time to go and sell him, because if you were listening to Will and I and everyone on this show, we were all big on Tony Pollard, saying this was going to happen. He would be the RB1 for the team. Will said Zeke was going to get cut, and Zeke has been cut. So there you go. Will predicting the future, and now Tony Pollard's the RB1, and You bought him low, time to go sell him high. Go get your values worth. I think you can get more than a first-round pick for Tony Pollard in Dynasty League right now. I think that's the perfect time. So I'm looking to move Tony Pollard. If you're in a sleeper league, Tony Pollard is not a guy you go up and you put on the trade block. Tony Pollard is a guy you go individually shopping to people so other people don't think you're trying to get rid of him. I noticed as soon as you put someone up on the trade block, they're like, this guy doesn't want him anymore. And that's not the case with Tony Pollard. It's you want to try and get value. Go find that Cowboys fan in your league and be like, here you go, Tony Pollard, RB1. I'm assuming they're going to assign him to an extension at some point, so his value will probably go up then as well. Get yourself out of Tony Pollard before things go downhill in the draft one, or bring someone else in, because I can't imagine Mike McCarthy is going to be running Tony Pollard and Malik Davis come season time. What do you guys think? You willing to move Tony Pollard if you can capitalize on the value right now, or do you want to see him as the RB1? Zach, what do you think?
Did he get tear an ACL or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
People forgot about that.
Yes.
He's coming off an injury too.
Right. So I see where you're coming from, capitalizing. So I guess playing devil's advocate, someone could just turn around and be like, bro, you just tore his ACL. No, I'm not trading you, but from the perspective of he's going to be the starting running back, no competition. He's young. Yeah. Dynasty wise, it makes total sense. And I hope for Tony Pollard, he does bounce back because he's awesome. And
yeah, I think he will.
Bets last year.
I think he will bounce back. This isn't a, get rid of Tony Pollard. This is a capitalize on the value, because you can probably flip Tony Pollard and get yourself a running back who you can start, plus a first-round pick.
Yep.
So really, this is just a guy. If you have him, you definitely paid, whether you drafted him or traded for him before. You're going up. This is you made some big brain moves here. Will and Jeff, are you first of all, are you excited about Tony Pollard getting this RB1 spot, and would you trade him if you could get a top RB1 value for him?
I'm definitely trading him. In fantasy, the two easiest guys to trade are to Dallas fans and Raider fans. So if you really got a top guy on one of those offenses, man, you can pretty much name your price and they will be chomping at the bit. So, I'm always a little down on guys when they come off an injury, especially a big injury. It was late in the year. So, that's another thing. Is he going to be ready for the season? Is he going to have any rust? Is he going to be afraid to cut on certain things? Explosive guy. If he did not get injured at the end of the year, I'd probably be, if I had him, I would be inclined to hold on to him. But after that injury, I'll take my chances on trading him.
Yeah, I think the injury is one thing you can kind of forget about, or that people can kind of forget about during free agency leading up to the draft, because everyone right now is focused on who's signing who and the fact that Zeke just got cut and that Pollard was tagged. No one cares about anything else right now. So much other stuff going on. So this is where you take advantage of some of these type of things where, the injury, it was a big thing at the end of the year. But no one's talking about the injury anymore. Everyone's talking about Zeke's gone. This is Pollard's team. Right. When are they extending him? Predicting the future. What do you think about moving him now?
I think what saved his trade value or made him more valuable is when they franchised him, because that was a sign to everybody that the organization believes he's going to be ready to play, because you wouldn't have franchised him. Then they cut Zeke. So, I'm not moving him because I think he has a good couple of years and he could be a good RB1, depending on your league structure, but he's going to catch a ton of balls and he's going to score. But I would tell owners, if you are thinking about moving him, I'd actually wait till preseason or week 1 or week 2 and let him have a big week and then then sell him. I wouldn't. I think you get a little. I don't know if you'll get as much value now. So in a dynasty league, I would sit on him and just wait.
Yeah, that's fair. If he does come back fully healthy and balls out, I think it is definitely, you might be able to get a little bit more for him then.
Yeah.
Just, see what you can get for him.
Yeah.
It's not really I'm not trying to absolutely get rid of Tony Pollard, just capitalizing on the value of Tony Pollard currently. Zach, let's move on to your next guy. You're going to stay close to your heart with this one. Who are you trying to sell?
Yeah, these are always the toughest ones. And to kind of like throw it in there too, like there's no like right or wrong answer. I think what Dynasty buys or sells, it's really like situation. So like one league, it can make total sense to trade one guy, and one league, it makes total sense not to. But so for a rebuilding perspective, like I personally have Tyreek Hill in my longest running Dynasty, and it's been a nice ride. And obviously this past year was, as best, as best as it gets. But at the same time, I'm, 29 years old season. He is an outlier, but man, he's so fast. He's just one of those guys that you worry, like if he just tweaks that hamstring just a little too tough at that, going into that 29 to 30 mark in his career, you just get a little nervous. I feel like talking about capitalizing on a guy like full value. I mean, Tyreek Hill, he set the world on fire last year, so you could probably dangle him, over the face of the guy that's very close to either contending or is like the best team in the league. I've had guys throw offers my way in that league as far as draft picks. They're just throwing draft picks at me for Tyreek Hill because they're in a win now position, and if they get Tyreek Hill for 1 or 2 seasons, they're going to be happy. And if you're in a rebuilding position, having an aging Tyreek Hill is doing you no favors. So you might as well get him off your team. It's going to suck. For me, I might move him before the season starts for that exact reason. I'll let the hype of training camp kind of settle in. Tua's back on the field. People kind of forget about the concussion thing, and they're like, oh, we're on to 2023, So, yeah, Tyreek Hill. It's tough, but I think this is a good season to move on.
When the practice reports come out that Tua's, the most accurate quarterback in the NFL again, and
right,
he looks back like himself, I think then definitely Tyreek Hill's market is going to go up. And as you said, if you're on a rebuilding team, Tyreek Hill is not really an asset that's going to help you much. But if you're a championship team, he will help you. So you can sell him, get whatever it is, a first-round pick for him. If you're trading him to a contending team, probably a late first-round pick, you probably get more than that, depending on your scoring format, how many wide receivers you have, and things like that. But I think that Tyreek Hill's a guy who has value now. One big injury to Tyreek Hill, though, and he's probably done the way he plays.
Yep.
So it's high risk to keep him and low risk if you can get rid of him and get some draft capital. Or even if you're not a rebuilding team, you're just kind of in the middle. You got to make your decision. Are you going for it or are you not going for it? And maybe this is the guy you move. As simple as maybe this isn't going to be your year, but you're going to make it next year. Because that's a situation where if you're kind of in the middle, I know a lot of people are valuing the current draft picks in 2023, but maybe you trade Tyreek Hill for 2024 picks and you can get a lot more. And then when you look back on the deal in a year and a half, Tyreek Hill might not be running around like he was. And now you're sitting here with the 103 and the 203, and you're chilling. And you're absolutely right.
Yep. I mean, we were talking about selling a year ago. We talked about selling Derrick Henry in Dynasty. If you would have done that last year, would you have been happy with that decision? If you would have gotten a haul of draft picks in this draft class, you talk about Bijan. So people were like, you're crazy to trade Derrick Henry, right? So you're probably like, it's crazy to trade Tyreek Hill. But like you just said, Zach, if you look back a year from now and you have a ton of draft picks and Tyreek Hill tweaks his hamstring week 15, you're going to be super happy that you made that trade.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff doesn't look like he's on board with this one.
I'm just saying, this dude just won a USA track and field event, man.
Tell me, I love this guy.
Different animal. That's the thing. He's just a different type of guy, man. I mean, I know that, guys start hitting that age where things start falling off. He seems like he's just one of those guys that just may not, like, he's still got another 3 years where he could still be at elite speed. Even if this dude just kind of slows down a little bit, he's still faster than most.
Tua finally hit him in stride.
Exactly. So, I mean, I get it. I understand, but to me, he's a gamble. He's in a good good position. He's in a great offense. It's tough. It's tough.
Well, we didn't even really bring
hearing
this
that.
up when talking about Tyreek Hill, but there's questions at the quarterback position right now with Tua and his health. So if you can maybe have some people forget about that, that's another situation too where if Tua comes out next year, he gets concussed 1-2 more times, he's probably done. And then you're stuck with Mike White throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill a year, and that's not quite as appealing. So another risk where not even Tyreek Hill, if he can get hurt, and injuries, especially leg injuries to speedsters, kind of tends to hinder them a lot. His quarterback is a concussion or two away from being done.
Yeah.
So take that into account, especially if you're rebuilding. Tyreek Hill should not be on your roster. Will, what do you think about Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, I guess the Tua thing is the only thing that makes me nervous. Otherwise, I'll be honest with you. If my roster looks like I could win a championship this year, I'm not moving Tyreek. No way. Maybe I can get a bunch of picks for him, but if I can win, now you're in rebuild, then I think you do got to move him while you can.
Yeah, I think you're right there. If you're like, okay, I'm here, I'm one of the two favorites to win. Tyreek Hill, you probably keep unless you can flip him for another elite player with a little bit less risk. But you're not trying to trade him for draft picks if you're contending. You're trying to trade your draft picks for people.
Yeah.
So these are kind of team dependent. When we talk about buys, sells, anything to do with Dynasty, it's all team dependent because you have teams in the league who are clearly rebuilding. You obviously clearly have your favorites. It doesn't always end up that way at the end of the season, but going into the season, you have those two kind of evened out. You have your bottom feeders, the guys you're picking 1 and 2. You have your top guys, and then there's a bunch of people in the middle. But you got to kind of set yourself apart, realize where your team is, and whether you need to be in a buying market if you're trying to get rid of your older assets. Jeff, we'll move on to your player next. This team just signed another running back. So, Jeff, who do you want to bring up as a trade candidate? Still relatively young.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the whole thing with him, man. And, I just looked at Zach's roster and saw him there, but it is my man, DeAndre Swift. With David Montgomery going to the Lions. And, I mean, even before David Montgomery went there, just what Jamal Williams was doing last year. And, it's just his health. So, I mean, he might do something for you at the beginning of the year, but then usually towards the end of the year, it's tailing off. But now, they didn't trade for a guy that's going to be that third down back. They're trading for a guy that can potentially take over the backfield with Montgomery. So
yeah,
I'm just like, what are they going to do with him? So he's still young enough. He still has some cachet to his name. So I would be putting him out there trying to see what I can get. If I can get a draft pick or maybe a guy like Isaiah Pacheco or something like that, I might be trying to do something.
Will, what are your thoughts? I assume you're also on Jeff's side here.
Oh, as a Montgomery owner in our league, I am very happy today because I didn't really want him last year. Just needed to fill in a roster hole. And now I think he's a top 10 fantasy running back next year. In that offense, I'm gonna call it. I don't know. And look, I don't know.
Okay, Will can predict the future.
I'm telling you, I don't think Swift is going to be there.
Batting 100.
I think they may move Swift.
That's where I was going with my
on the
point.
draft. Draft day, you watch. They'll move Swift.
Yes.
But that's why I'm
exactly like
But if I have Swift, I'm currently holding Swift to see where he ends up.
Yeah, I'm with
because
you.
If DeAndre Swift ends up being the RB1 for the Kansas City Chiefs going into this year, that's a guy you want to have on your roster. And that is a very likely situation where I could see him going because he would be by far the most talented guy. And he's the guy they missed on in that draft when they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire over.
And then you sell him, the next day he signs with Kansas City.
Absolutely, you do. Absolutely.
Either way, you're selling him.
His value can't go down when he
I don't believe the Bears. I mean, the Lions would bring Montgomery in, and I know Swift's in the last year, so I think the Bears front office is much better, and I think they're going to weigh. We can keep Swift. I mean the Lions. I'm sorry, the Lions front office. We can keep Swift. We're not going to re-sign him next year. So can we get a better draft pick this year by trading him instead of waiting for a potential comp pick? And so I think they move him. And if someone offers a 4th or 5th round pick,
yeah, I think they'll move him. They had Jamal Williams last year, who led the league in touchdowns. He ended up signing a 3-year, $12 million deal with the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Days after the Lions signed David Montgomery into a 3-year, $18 million deal. So to me, the fact that they're paying David Montgomery more than they would have had to pay to keep Jamal shows that David Montgomery is going to have a big part in this offense. And to me, it also shows, as you said, Swift on his last year of his deal. I think they move him this offseason. I hope for his dynasty draft value, I hope is to the Chiefs. But it can't go down if he's moved. There's not a team where I think that he goes and you're like, oh, okay, he's not worth anything anymore. So I think if you hold him now, you're not going – his value won't go down when it comes to him if he's moved or going into the season, unless he gets hurt in training camp.
There's not that many teams that need a starting running back, especially after this draft wraps up. So there is a scenario where his value does go down. I mean,
but with David Montgomery in there in Detroit,
it's kind of just like he's a better Jamal Williams. And like, I mean, David Montgomery has had he's had his injury problems too. So it's not like he's 100% going to play every single game. I like David Montgomery, but I think at the same time, if DeAndre Swift could just stay on the field, that's like his biggest problem. I don't know if it's really so much the competition. I feel like he's just always, I don't know.
Yeah, he's always hurt, but right now he has David Montgomery, and people are expecting to be about a 50-50 split. A team that's going to be trading for him is going to be giving him at least 50% of the carries when he's healthy.
That's true.
It's kind of where I'm getting at because, you know, a team like if the Titans keep Derrick Henry, they're not trading for DeAndre Swift.
But let's say when he comes to Miami, what do we think?
If he goes to Miami, I think his value goes up.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
He's in a better offense. Yeah. He won't have to be on the
running
field.
backs there.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing. If he does go to Miami, Coach Mike is likely to just play all three. So that's
right. And he does those shenanigans that Shanahan does because I remember Jeff Wilson had a big game, and then for some reason the next week they just didn't give him any carries. Right. So and he was totally healthy. So so that's why like some scenarios he could go down, but that's a lot on Swift.
I think he can, so it could maybe it goes down a little bit, but I think that the ceiling that it could go up to outweighs the negatives. Because I think if he goes to Miami, I think it still goes up touchdowns, and just quality touches. I think goes up. You know, he said he's going to get the other two backs involved. Okay, that's probably best for a guy like DeAndre Swift, but I think DeAndre Swift's by far the most talented of the backs in Miami. So, you know, it's different when you have guys like Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and Myles Gaskin, who are all just kind of, you know, they're good NFL running backs, but DeAndre Swift has the talent that he's a great NFL running back when he plays. So I think he's just on that next.
Mostert's been healthy, man, and I'm, you know, that's my thing with
Jeff Wilson.
Man,
they're both good, but neither of them are great. Neither of them are bell cow guys.
How dare you?
And their pay that they just got kind of reflects that. But Will, let's move on. We're gonna stick in the division. Will, who do you want to try and trade away?
So I understand the point at the start of the show, Zach, about how we kind of view things different.
Yeah,
I just couldn't resist this one. Any Packer wide receiver has to move now. If you could trade them now, trade them now. Everybody on that team, not running backs, wide receivers. Because you do not want to get to the preseason and let them have one bad game, and you know Love is going to be a little slow. I just don't think Love's going to come out and light it up in the preseason. So as soon as that happens, the value you have for these wide receivers is you're stuck with them until the following year.
So my question for you is, what would you expect to get back for a Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs? What would you be looking for in exchange?
Right now, I think I could get a decent player or a second-round pick for Watson.
Yeah, those are package players. If I were
Yeah.
to categorize them,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you throw Christian Watson in because he adds a little bit of youth
Yeah.
to the trade, and he's coming off of like a lot of touchdowns. So I can see
Mm-hmm.
it from that angle. Like, and when we say sell, it doesn't necessarily have to just be 1-for-1. Like
Yeah.
you could make a whole list of guys on your
Yeah.
team you want to sell and try to package them in a way. And I think you're right. That's a safe bet to not gamble on Jordan Love. He's shown nothing but worries, in my opinion. So,
and there's nothing. Green Bay will have nobody to turn to, right? That's it's like you kind of look at the Niners now. You're like, well, crap. Whenever quarterback emerges, at least they got somebody in number 2 that's going to pan out, or not even the third quarterback. Who the heck are the Packers going to have if Love doesn't pan out?
Hendon Hooker.
Who-
Good. This is what the Packers fans get. All right. Not all of us
Yeah.
get 40,000 years of straight
Yeah.
great quarterback play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can struggle
welcome
with the
to
rest of us for a
club.
little bit. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe they sign another free agent here, get themselves a nice Marcus Mariota experiment going
Oh,
on.
please,
something like
please
that.
do, please do, please.
Yep.
It'd be funny just to see Jordan Love, and then all of a sudden Marcus Mariota's in the game, and then
And I
he plays
think Love,
bad, but Jordan Love's back, and
I don't think Love has a bad season. He just doesn't have the season that we're used to at the skill positions, especially the wide receivers with the Packers.
I don't think
I mean,
the Packers
it was hard last year watching Rodgers as a fantasy guy, right? If you're watching from a fantasy perspective, you're like, oh man, Watson had a good end of the season, but not what everybody kind of thought for the whole season.
Mhm.
And so, you're kind of like, oh crap. I mean, if Rodgers couldn't do it with him last year, do I really expect Love to put up that? Now, I think if you have a Packer running back, hold on to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should be a run first team.
Yes.
Now with Jordan Love at quarterback. So I think that's a good points there. I would agree with Zach that they're kind of package players. If I could trade them 1-for-1 for a mid second round pick.
I mean, and I guess
that.
I'm thinking,
But
outside of Watson, who the heck is the Packers wide receivers right now?
Dobbs.
Watson and Dobbs.
And there's one more.
After that, I don't think I could name a wide receiver on
Yeah.
the roster currently.
There
Because
is
they're all
another-
going to New York. All the other ones
Yeah.
that Rodgers had are going to New York with him.
Yeah, that'll work out.
Yes.
yeah, right.
Like, I mean, to Will's point, you brought up that it was tough to watch for fantasy. Like, it just makes me question all of this ego stuff and like what the
Yeah.
Jets are doing right now. Like, did we all watch the same season last year?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
this is Mr. 13-3 losing.
But
the
he had a
conference
broken
championship every
thumb,
year.
so it's okay. Last year he
Exactly.
had a
So
broken
if anyone talks about your owner, just say JETS Jets.
We're
Yeah.
really going to see how
Woody
he
is a
is
disaster.
this season
Yep.
because he is going into a division that is going to have top
Stacked.
defenses, especially secondary.
Yeah.
So we will see.
They may win 6 games. With
Right.
Rodgers.
They'll win more than 6 games.
I don't think they win a division game.
I think they'll beat the Patriots.
What was the Jets' record last year?
I know, but I don't know. Look, I'll be honest with you. Rodgers, that's a hell of a risk, especially
They
if
won
they-
7 games last
They won
year.
6 because they played against Skylar Thompson one game.
Okay, well, they still won 7 games. They're going to get to play
We
against
would have
backup quarterbacks
whooped
this
them
year.
if those two were playing, but
They'll probably play 2 games against Mike White this year. So I don't know. I think they'll win more games than
Fair.
they did, but I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contending team.
right. And if you're not, why bother? It's the
Right.
equation.
I
It's the
think they
Patrick
think they're
Mahomes
gonna
effect. If you can't, all 4 of us in agreement.
Yeah.
If it's the Jets versus Chiefs championship, who are you guys picking
Chiefs.
in the AFC championship?
I don't know how the Jets got to the AFC Championship.
Right. Something
Exactly.
bad happened.
Exactly my point. So why bother? Why
Yeah.
bother them? Just is that what the goal is, to lose in the playoffs? Because that's what the Jets will do. At best scenario, they'll lose in the playoffs, probably in the
Yeah.
wild card.
The best thing happened to the Jets is the Green Bay overplays their hand. And as it may suck for Jets fans to have like, oh crap, we don't have a quarterback. That's the best thing that happened to the Jets is it
The
steals.
Packers can't do that though, because the Packers don't trade him, Aaron Rodgers pretty much said that he's not playing for the Packers ever again. So he could retire, but I'm pretty sure the way the NFL salary cap works, that $99 million of dead cap that would come when he retires, going against the Packers cap this year would absolutely annihilate them. So they can't even do that. They have no leverage.
But you gotta remember the Packers don't have an owner either. And this is where, if it's really petty, if it's this, the management is just petty with Rodgers and Rodgers is petty with them, this could get crazy yet.
Then they'll be stuck with $130 million in cap space.
Trade him for Lamar.
Well,
Trade him for Lamar.
If you're the Packers, like, honestly, if you're the Packers, if you could get a first-round pick right now, you should move him. And honestly, that's the play I would do. I would take my first plus. Well, if they don't get a first-round pick, those Packer fans are going to lose their lunch.
They have zero leverage. Aaron Rodgers has all of the leverage right now. He can retire and put them in cap hell this year, or they can let him go.
And this is why you should be, if you own Watson Dobbs, you should be sending text messages right now trying to facilitate a trade. And as Zach said, don't put it up on your board.
Yeah.
One-on-one conversations.
Yeah. Guys you put up on your board are Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Because, you're not going to get much, but you might be able to get something. I already had a couple people ask me what I want for Baker since I put him up there. So, I'm a move him.
If someone gives you a first-round pick, I'm going to be sick.
Well, I might get a first-round pick, but I might have to give up a second-round pick.
How the hell did I get the 10th pick?
I'm just going to try and move up around is my goal. I'm just going to move up around.
I'm going to have to do some deep research on these quarterbacks. Hopefully land myself the next Brock Purdy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because I have the 102 and the 103. So I'm getting Jahmyr Gibbs as one of my picks, and now I'm taking whoever the Panthers take number 1 overall with my other pick.
Will Levis all day.
It's going to be CJ Stroud.
Will Levis all day.
Jeff, be quiet. We're going to move on to the next pick so that Jeff
Will Levis.
Stop talking about that. We're going to stay in the NFC North, though, and we're going to go to the quarterback position. This guy just got himself a new weapon in DJ Moore. Take Justin Fields if he's on your roster. And get him out of there in Superflex leagues. Justin Fields is currently going as a top 10 player in Superflex Dynasty startup drafts, and I don't think he's worth that. To me, he gets a new weapon. Everyone is super excited that the passing is just going to start to develop now. He's got DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney. He's got the rushing floor that people love, and that gives him super high ceiling. And I think he's going to be a good quarterback for the next few years. But I'm not so sure he's going to be able to take that step to become a perennial next 15-year quarterback that people think he's going to be. And you can sell Justin Fields right now for a similar package to what the Panthers just gave up to trade to get the number 1 overall pick. You can trade him for multiple firsts, multiple seconds, and a player. And I think you can get away with that in a Superflex league, especially if it's a deep league. And I'm getting rid of Justin Fields for that if I can, because I don't personally believe he's going to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. So I would get rid of him while you can. He's going to be good. He'll be probably top 5 this year, next year. So maybe if you're, he's your quarterback 2 and you're competing, okay, you're happy because he might help you win 2 championships. But I still think you can get a lot of value. Even if you are competing, you can trade him for an older quarterback and get a bunch else too. So I would look to move Justin Fields right now. That's why I said everyone kind of took this question a little bit differently. I'm trying to capitalize on value, and I think there's no one whose value is higher than Justin Fields right now. Everyone loves him, and now he's got the weapon, so everyone's super high. The Bears have been making all these deals this free agency. I'm not buying into it. Get rid of Justin Fields. Will, I want to go to you next because you are our NFC North guy. Are you selling Justin Fields if you can?
Hell yeah, I'm selling Justin Fields.
Yes, let's go.
I'm just look. If I was the Bears,
unbiased view.
If I was the Bears,
that's why I went to Will first. I want his opinion.
If I was the Bears, there's no way I don't draft that quarterback at number 1. There's just no way I don't do that. Even if I keep Fields for another year or two, At some point, you have a chance to keep your quarterback costs low for 8 years if they keep that number 1 pick.
Well, they probably could have traded Justin Fields to the Panthers for a
They
little bit
could have-
less than what they got for the number 1 overall pick, but they probably still could have got a lot.
I would have kept Fields this year, drafted the quarterback, and then got to the end of next year and moved whoever I didn't want to pick, probably Fields, and still get a first pick next year and keep my quarterback payroll so low that I could build the rest of a dynasty for the next 8 to 10 years.
But they're the Bears. They don't know how to do that anymore.
And so what happens with, like, I don't know if DJ Moore is going to be worth anything with Justin Fields.
I was so tempted to put him on this list instead of Justin Fields.
Well, if you're going to sell DJ Moore or any of the Bear guys, you know,
I think DJ Moore is more of a sell.
Yeah,
than Justin Fields, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. DJ Moore, from what I've seen, from looking at other analysts, just from reading up on people either think his value is going to drop a lot, or some people think his value's gone up. And if you can find someone where they think his value's gone up since he's been traded, absolutely sell him. But I think a lot of people, people who would also probably, if you have Justin Fields and DJ Moore, and you can find someone who believes that this is going to be it, get them off your roster. You can get quite a haul back. I have DJ Moore in a couple leagues, and I will be looking to trade him. If I had Justin Fields in a couple leagues, I'd be looking to move him as well. So get rid of your Bears. It's really, I guess, what I'm saying. Except for Khalil Herbert, you keep Khalil Herbert. I like Khalil Herbert, but yeah, get rid of the rest of your Bears. Zach, Jeff, anything you guys want to add before we move on here? No, we'll move on. All right, Zach, who is your second player you're trying to sell?
It's more of a kind of the out of the box thinking here. Anytime an NFL player goes on Saturday Night Live, I tend to think their fantasy stock is going to go down. So for that reason, Travis Kelce is my second guy. Would have been I believe, number 1 tight end for 7 years straight if he didn't come in second to Mark Andrews in 2021. So his value is still high. I mean, it's hard to say Travis Kelce is not, worth whatever, especially again in the slanted view of a contender. Someone who's ready to win this year will definitely give you whatever you want for Travis Kelce just to have him for one season. So yeah, that's kind of just my view. Like when I think of sell, that's kind of where my mind kind of goes to as far as like just trying to, especially age, like kind of plays into more of a factor for me because I'm really trying to stay ahead of that drop off,
Yeah, I think this is another guy. If you're on a rebuilding team, there's no reason Travis Kelce should be in your roster. Trade him to a guy who can use him like a contender. But as you said, age, which comes back to what Will harps on all the time, is you rather get out a year early than a year late. So if you can, capitalize, if you've had Travis Kelce and you've won a couple seasons now, maybe you realize, all right, I've won 2 in a row. Time I start moving, get a little younger, and come back in a couple years and try and win. Because in Dynasty, it's extremely hard to win once, let alone to try and go for 3 or 4 in a row. It just really doesn't happen very often. You have to have one of those kind of special teams. Like I just won for my second year in a row last year in one of my Dynasty leagues, but I'm currently sitting with Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook at running back. So, I won last year, so I'm okay with it. And I won the year before, so I'm willing to bite the bullet on those guys. That's kind of what I was going for. There, I'll rebuild it in a couple of years, but that's kind of the situation you're at. If you've won for 2 years in a row, your running backs or your wide receivers, your quarterbacks, they're not looking good. So Travis Kelce's guy who's got the value. I am definitely down to try and capitalize while you still can on Travis Kelce. He's, the Chiefs just lost Juju. They're not bringing back McCole Hardman. Just more targets being funneled Kelce's way. So you can sell it as he's not only the wide receiver 1, tight end 1 on this team, but he is by far and away the wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 on this team, if you want to really look at it that way when it comes to his targets. So I am down to sell Travis Kelce. Jeff, Will, anything you want to add on the Travis Kelce front?
Again, it's one of those things where if you are close to a championship, sometimes he's as good as a wide receiver one. So
Mhm.
that's the only thing. If you are in a rebuild mode, then possibly look at it. But he's one of those guys where, especially with the Chiefs losing Juju, in the wide receiver room is really shaky right now. He's basically the wide receiver one on that team. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We're hyped
Sounds
for
like
Sky
sounds like
Moore.
a good sales script there to get rid of him.
Yeah, we just
He's wide
gave
receiver
him
one,
credit.
man. He's a 32-year-old white dude playing wide receiver. He's definitely
bring
not
up
going to
the
break out
32
eventually.
part. Just bring up the wide receiver.
As a 31-year-old guy, let you know it comes quick. So
Yeah, there you go, Jeff. Let's move on to your next player. Your next player is a little bit on the younger side as well. For a team, we've talked a little bit about who you're trying to trade away.
Yeah, he just seems like the odd man out. He had already tried to kind of force his way out lightweight last year, and there are just guys that are truthers about Elijah Moore. They're just like, this guy is going to be a great receiver. I think with Rodgers getting there now, with Lazard being signed, Garrett Wilson is going to be there. I don't know if Randall Cobb happens to come, which I don't know why in the hell they would bring a. How old is he?
Yeah, right.
Coming on
in Mercedes Lewis, really?
Man,
Okay.
so yeah.
Whoa! No hate on Mercedes Lewis here,
He's
guys.
like
Mercedes
40.
Lewis is good for at
super old.
least 2 blocks that turn into touchdowns in the red zone every year.
Okay.
He blocks, and
There-
all of a sudden
there it
he's
is.
by himself in the corner of the end zone. So those are 2 touchdowns. That veteran savvy. You bring in Mercedes Lewis. He'd be one of the best tight ends on their roster.
Oh, well, yeah. Who else do they have there? But I mean, just looking at it, Rodgers is going to be forced to work with Garrett Wilson. And he should. He actually is a great receiver. But Moore is the odd man out, so I think he can catch on somewhere else and compete. But I'm trying to unload him if I had him.
Wait till the trade is official.
Yeah,
I would be getting rid of all of my Jets, to be honest, except for Garrett Wilson, because I think he is a really talented wide receiver. But if you can buy on the fact that Aaron Rodgers is going there and this offense is, you sell the fact that this offense is supposed to be elite, and you can sell your Jets, I'm doing it.
You gonna let go of Breece Hall?
No, okay, never mind.
Oh, okay.
Not Breece Hall and not
I was
Garrett
like,
Wilson.
wait a minute, I'm looking to see if you had him. I was like, oh,
I do. No. So hold on. Keep Breece and keep Garrett Wilson, because they will be here after Aaron Rodgers is gone. You get rid of Alan Lazard, the tight ends. If they bring in Randall Cobb or Odell, you get rid of those guys if you can. You keep your 22-year-old all-star caliber guys.
Hey, Conklin's a sleeper tight end. Telling you. He had a decent year last year.
But if they bring in Mercedes Lewis, there goes all the tight end touchdowns on that team. So,
wow.
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is a mess. I don't want any part of it other than Breece Hall. And
I love it.
as a Dolphins fan,
they should bring back Tony Gonzalez too. he's just as old as Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah, but what Mercedes Lewis does, you don't have to be athletic for. You don't have to be fast.
Wow. This guy plays in the profession. He's a professional football player.
Well, Mercedes Lewis now is not the same Mercedes Lewis that came out.
No.
He was a first round pick, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. But Mercedes Lewis is a great blocker. He comes in, he's your second tight end, he blocks, and every once in a while he finds himself wide open, because all he does when he's on the field is block, and he's just chilling there by himself, and he'll just catch the ball. He's pretty much just their extra lineman when it comes to goal line packages, except when he goes out to catch the ball, he's not going to drop it like they do. So he doesn't have to be fast. He doesn't have to be quick. He's smart. And him and Aaron Rodgers always seem to be on the same page when they're in the red zone. So I get bringing Mercedes Lewis in. I don't get bringing Randall Cobb in because he's not better than Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard. He's not. He would be the 5th wide receiver on the team. So I don't support that one. But Will and Jeff, I'm gonna kind of let you guys. Jeff, we're gonna do your last one here. And Will, you were going to do your second one here just because they kind of go together. I assume you guys are going to make the same arguments for different players. So, Will, I'll let you introduce your guy first. And then, Jeff, you can introduce your guy. And you can just agree with everything Will's about to say.
Look, it's time to Evans with Tampa Bay. If you can got him, trade him. And I don't even know if you're going to get a lot for him, but I would still move him.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, who are you trying to sell?
Oh, we're on the same wavelength. As I'm saying, if you got Chris Godwin, you might as well let him go too. Let him go.
Zach, you want to add a Buccaneer to your list too? I talked about Baker Mayfield earlier, so if you want to bring up a Buck you're trying to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of Baker Mayfield.
So the only thing that scares me about like Evans and Godwin is if they're having a bad season, they're going to move them during the season. And it would be interesting to see, do they go the Chiefs midseason? One of them, something like that. Because at Tampa Bay, at some point, you just start cutting your losses, right, and start going to full rebuild. So it'll just be interesting to me. But right now, if I could, I don't know if you can get anything for Evans. It just
he's washed, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. It's not even necessarily Baker. It's a combination of Baker and Evans is on the downhill.
Baker's just a nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baker's definitely not a promising thing. I don't know if you guys saw what he did in Carolina last year, but DJ Moore had some of his worst games with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. So I'm not sure I want any of the pass-catching options for another Baker Mayfield-led offense. The only thing that we saw positive when Baker Mayfield was in Los Angeles was Cam Akers was good. So maybe this is your sign, buy Rachaad White. Other than the fact that apparently they're trying to bring in Zeke for some reason. But maybe Rachaad White would be the only Buck I would want to own on my
They need another thick running back to replace.
But they cut Leonard Fournette to go get themselves some Ezekiel Elliott.
Wow.
I would.
Ooh, what is wrong with that franchise?
They won a championship though, so it's okay. Same with the Rams. They both won, so it's okay.
It's a big changeover happening in the NFL right now, especially with all the trades and free agency stuff.
Yeah, that there is. You got so much going on. You got, like I said, the Rams and Bucks, 2 Super Bowl winning teams. They're both in the gutters now. The only Super Bowl winning team that seems to be okay is the Kansas City Chiefs. And they seem to be able to keep coming back and back and back, and that's because they have Patrick Mahomes. So we'll keep it rolling here, though. We're going to talk about another guy who I am trying to sell, not because I don't think he's a good football player, not because I'm worried about the quarterback. I'm worried about who's coming up behind him, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm looking to move Amon-Ra St. Brown because I am the biggest Jameson Williams believer out of anyone you will find. I fully believe he will be a better wide receiver than Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think by the end of next year, he will be the wide receiver 1 on this team. And for those reasons, I'm trying to move Amon-Ra St. Brown while he's still the number 1 wide receiver. You can get great value for Amon-Ra. I used him as a main piece to get Kyle Pitts in Zach's Ocean State Fantasy Football Dynasty League. So you can trade Amon-Ra to get yourself some quality pieces back. So I'm all in on moving Amon-Ra. It's not that I don't think I think he's a great wide receiver. He's a low-end wide receiver 1 currently in the NFL. I think he's going to be one of the best wide receiver 2s after Jameson takes over the wide receiver 1 spot. That's where I stand on Amon-Ra. Not sure how you guys feel, if you would be willing to move on from him because he's been great since he's come into the NFL, really. And it's like I said, it's not a slight on him. I'm just fully on board with Jameson. I got him everywhere, literally everywhere, and I think this is his team. Once he gets it going this year, we saw him a little bit last year. Flashes, they're just kind of slowly starting to work him back in. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. They'll have Jared Goff for one more year, and then whoever they get after that, I think they'll be okay. So sell Amon-Ra St. Brown.
If I was Detroit, I'd call Kansas City. I'd say I'll give you Swift and I'm on St. Brown for 31.
I think they get a lot more for Amon-Ra.
Yeah. That sounds
I don't think they get more for Swift, but I think Amon-Ra has value. He's young on his rookie contract as a wide receiver, I think.
For real.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough because most of the leagues that I had Amon St. Ra in, I actually got him kind of cheap. So, and I really think he's proving himself. He's still got that chip on his shoulder that everybody kind of like doubted him. And, my thing is I always like a good possession receiver that also gets into the end zone. And that's exactly what this guy is.
Yeah.
So he's pretty tough. He's able to stay healthy. He kind of reminds me of a young Hines Ward who won me some championships. I just told my age and how long I've been playing fantasy. But I value those guys. So, I guess I would be one of the guys that's looking to receive him, but I don't know if I'd give up a ton, to try to acquire him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And Hines Ward used to just destroy people, and he used to like famously not wear a mouthpiece. I'm not sure how the rules were that lenient back then, but yeah, no, I totally agree with that comparison. And kind of with you, like I wouldn't go crazy trying to get him on my team, but like Jeff, you're absolutely right. I think he was like a later rookie draft pick in Dynasty, so you probably did get him cheap when he was coming to the NFL. But I don't know. He's just a dog. I think if you have him on a team, he's just young and the genetics are there, right? His brother's a wide receiver. His dad was Mr. Olympia or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to argue with nature sometimes. So I think Amon-Ra is a. He just feels like I don't know what you'd get in return selling him. That's
like I said. I flipped him and Dawson Knox for Kyle Pitts and a second-round pick. So the value's there.
all right.
You
Yeah.
can get value, and I'd rather have Kyle Pitts than.
Yep. That's a solid.
Amon-Ra.
So yeah, another kind of package-ish player, maybe.
Yeah,
Kind of like
I
he
think
makes up-
he
yeah.
has to be the bigger part of a package, but I think you package him and someone else or a pick, and if you package him in a pick, you can upgrade at the wide receiver position.
Do you think the Lions go quarterback? A lot of people are thinking they're going to go quarterback. I don't think they are, but
I don't think so either.
Well, they got four
Makes
picks.
sense.
They got 4 picks in the first 52. They're going to go quarterback. It's just win.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I think they go quarterback in the draft, but I don't think they make a move to go up to get one. And I don't think they'll take one super early. I think they might take, they could take a Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Someone in either late first range.
I could see him taking like a Nolan Smith or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
I
kind of
think
doing
it-
something like that, getting an elite pass rusher kind of.
If Anthony Richardson gets to 18, which I don't think will happen, but if he did, he won't get past the Lions at 18.
No, I don't think he'll make
That's
it
a
outside
safety,
the top
but
10.
Yeah.
If he kind of slides like a Lamar did or kind of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think Richardson will be gone top 10.
Yeah, if he doesn't, I don't think he gets past the Seahawks at 20.
Well, he's not getting to 20 yet.
He's
Calm down.
It'll be interesting to see what the Lions do though, because if I was in, this is the year to draft a quarterback, and if Anthony Richardson is sitting there at 6, they should take him.
Yeah.
Hot take. I don't think there's any superstars in this draft quarterback position. Just throwing it out there. Dropping it. I don't think there's any guys we're going to look back and go, this feels very, I don't know. This feels very Tua-ish. I don't know. But maybe I'm just kind of.
But the Tua-ish draft had Justin Herbert.
Not so much that draft, but like I feel like
Bryce Young.
I feel like Bryce Young is Tua, like.
Yeah.
And like you got, I don't know, it's the Anthony Richardson thing is
Well, let's be honest. The Fields and the mobile quarterbacks is the dominant play now in the NFL, and so you got guys that are very mobile this year, all the way down to 6th, 7th round. You got guys.
I mean, there's no one better at it than Jalen Hurts. But
Yeah.
ultimately, what wins you a Super Bowl?
I mean, Patrick Mahomes
Having it between the noodle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having the noodle and the arm to.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts. What did he do? Like rush for like 3 touchdowns and pass for 2. Still wasn't good enough.
Yeah. I think the way the league is the way football is going, you're getting more mobile quarterbacks coming out of college, but they don't tend to be the ones that you want. You want the ones that throw a lot in college.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes has a little bit of mobile, right? Are you consider him mobile?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is mobile, but in college he was throwing for 5,000 yards.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, he was throwing the ball because he could. He didn't need to run.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's what you want to see out of your college quarterbacks. You want to see him sitting in the pocket, making the reads, as opposed to the guys who one read and run the ball. That doesn't work out so well in the NFL. So if your quarterback can't throw in college, there's absolutely no reason he's going to all of a sudden know how to throw when he gets to the NFL. I think that's something that we're kind of seeing as, Malik Willis last year with the Titans looked absolutely terrible when he played. So I think, and he was being hyped up to be a number 2 overall pick at the beginning of the draft, right? Obviously, that's not going to happen this year in the draft class. These quarterbacks are going to go higher.
A lot of smoke there as well.
And
plus the Titans.
Yeah, but he looked terrible. He could not throw the ball.
Yeah, and he also played at Liberty. Anthony Richardson played at Florida.
Right.
So a great difference in competition. Anthony Richardson's, I think, going to be the most explosive player out of this draft. Right up front, I think C.J. Stroud's the best quarterback. Anthony Richardson's could be special, but it depends on where he goes. He could go somewhere where they don't know how to utilize him.
He could be special, or he could be,
Right, he could just be not as good Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Because Lamar Jackson is you think about it running, but Lamar Jackson has an elite arm as well too, though. Yeah. That's the thing.
He has a really good arm for the NFL. I wouldn't call it an elite NFL.
Maybe for a mobile
for a mobile quarterback, like when you compare him to other mobile quarterbacks, he has a good arm, but elite arms would be Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. He's not quite up there. But let's move on, Zach, to your next sell in Dynasty, and he's apparently a sell in the NFL too after requesting permission to look to be traded, and that permission has been granted. Who are you trying to trade, Zach?
Mr. 20 touchdown a season, Austin Eckler. It hurts. Another personal scenario where I have him too, but I think I might have said it earlier. I'm not sure if there's that many great landing spots for running backs right now. And with the way running back by committee is going, it doesn't seem to, work in their favor fantasy wise. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Austin Eckler stays in Los Angeles, and I don't feel this way. But if he does go somewhere else, I don't know. It'd have to be the perfect landing spot for me to not want to sell him. I feel like this is just regression, a perfect regression candidate here. If you have 20 touchdowns back 2 seasons in a row, there's no way you're getting 20 seasons out of Austin Eckler this year, no matter where he plays, in my opinion. Yeah. So you might as well capitalize on the stats that you can pull up for your league mates. Show them, hey, dude, you got 20 touchdowns back-to-back seasons. Get him on your team.
Yeah, and he's trying to get his 3rd contract as an NFL running back, and that does not happen very often. Right. So when you look at that, he's older. He's in the perfect situation right now in LA. He's on a good offense, and he gets the work he needs to. When we're talking about Swift, I think Swift can go to better situations, and I'm not sure that's the case with Austin Eckler. I don't think there's anywhere where he's going to get the workload that he needs, where he gets his receptions and his goal line work. I don't think he gets that elsewhere. So I think his value can only go down. So I would try and look to trade him if you have him. Again, especially if you're rebuilding, he's late 20s. I don't have the number up in front of me, but he's late 20s, so he's a guy you shouldn't be on your roster. So I agree with Austin Eckler.
He has an enticing post-career upcoming for himself, too, for what he's done in the fantasy community and media and things like that. So if you're talking dynasty value, I'm sure he's thinking about that second part of his career kicking in.
Yeah, the only thing you can say about Austin Eckler is because he is more of a receiving back, he can probably play another 5 years in the NFL. But at the end of his career, he's just going to be a third down back. So it's not super valuable for fantasy. But you start your games where you're starting James White for the Patriots for a while after he was just a third down back. So there is some value there. If you can get some value for him, though, I would definitely look to move Austin Eckler. Jeff, are you on the same page as Zach there?
Yeah, I have a feeling that if nothing gets worked out, I really don't know if Los Angeles wants to start working in Isaiah Spiller. I'm looking at that would actually be a good spot for DeAndre Swift. And I think that's telling you something with them. Like, yeah, go ahead and seek a trade. So I think some other guys, Joshua Kelly, I think they're going to start, rotating more guys in that running back position. Because if you remember at the start of the year, he wasn't doing all that great. It was kind of like where desperation started to come in. It was like, okay, we got to do something else. And that's when he started to kind of kick it up. So, and I don't really see him, if he does get traded or if he does land with another team, I don't see him being a dominant back on any other team. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at trade destinations where his value probably doesn't drop, you got the Chiefs who are in his division, so that's never going to happen.
Going there, exactly.
And then maybe the Bills, if they
Oh,
would have
God,
got
no.
sort
Don't
of a
you wish
deal.
that he'd been me?
I tell you, if he gets traded, it'll be to Arizona.
That's a perfect landing spot for him.
Yeah,
they got the cap space. They could move a third round pick, which is like a late second because it's the top of the third round, right? And if I'm the Chargers, I'm deep at the running back position. I'll take a third round pick for Eckler right now.
It's where the running backs go to die.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's what James
exactly what I was going to say, man.
Edgerrin James. I mean, the list goes on and on. Emmitt Smith, the greatest running back, one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot. We got one more guy we're going to talk about here. Will's going to talk about a guy on a team where I'm pretty much trying to sell anyone I have, except for their running back. I would like to keep their running back if he's on my roster. But Will, who you want to talk about here?
When the story broke that the Rams were talking about trading Stafford, that's when I was like, oh, if you have Cooper Kupp, you got to get out now. You got to get out now. Because I think the Rams, there's something going on there, right? Coach wasn't going to come back. Then they flew. I don't even know how that rumor got started about Stafford, because if you look at the salary cap, I don't even understand how they were going to do that with the contract they have him under. But the fact that it's all being that discussion, I think the Rams are going to enter rebuild mode faster than we think. And they're going to start moving assets quickly.
Yeah. I've already talked about literally moving everyone else on their team.
The pillars.
Except for Cooper Kupp's name doesn't seem to come up, but that's one of the few.
Pillar.
If the Rams start off the season bad, I would, the ownership, what do? Do you keep him? Do you try to trade him? It's just it just seems like the Rams season is going to be a mess. And, Cooper's like Tyreek, right? The leg injury. Do we really know? But there's still fantasy owners. If they can get Cooper right now, they're going to take him. So it's not something you put up on your draft, on your league's board. Hey, I'm trading. That's one-on-one discussions. And if you can get a first-round pick from in your draft in a dynasty, I would move it.
Yeah, it's given the DeAndre Hopkins Houston Texan days where can his just ability to just be better at the sport of football just kind of outshine the kind of lackluster environment. I guess that's kind of a rough comparison for Matthew Stafford, but yeah, I agree with you guys. It seems like there's just nothing but bad vibes with the Rams, but that's what happens when you charge everything to credit, with the mortgaging your future there. Eventually you got to come and pay. So This is the result.
Can I get that T-shirt for the next show? F those picks.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because if you're looking to trade away Cooper Cup, people aren't going to be that interested. I don't think. I think you might find one person in your league who wants to try and trade for him.
Well, if someone is like picking 10th in the pit draft and maybe they feel good about their roster and they're willing to move a late first
Mm-hmm.
and maybe pick up a player.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why if you watched this show last year, I took the same meaning to this title and I said trade Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Yes, he's the Dynasty wide receiver one everywhere last offseason. And I said his value will never be higher.
Yeah.
And now his value is a late first round pick. So this is kind of just back to where I take this is sell people, who have the highest value they'll probably ever see in their career. Obviously, if you're a rebuilding team, you'll want to sell your older guys. But if you're a middle of the road team or maybe you're a contending team, you trade those guys when their value is it's kind of hard to kind of tell when their values are going to be the highest. But sometimes you just, as Will says, get out a year early. Because once it's too late to get out on a guy, like if you have Alvin Kamara on your roster right now, you can't trade Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. The difference is, I guess, Cooper Kupp was coming off the greatest wide receiver season of all time. Yeah. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. That was there's no other wide receiver that ever had higher value at any given time. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, as a personal Cooper Kupp owner, I definitely would have been happy if I would have sold him last year because I need some draft picks. So,
if you had him and you were competing, you're like, well, our wide receiver one, might as well keep him.
Yep. Not
really anything you could. The only way you were getting Cooper Kupp is if he was on a rebuilding team, really. But it's just an interesting thing to look at. All of your dynasty trades depend on your team's makeup and how you project your team's going to do. Because you'll always have one team you think isn't going to be that great. A couple injuries happen, and all of a sudden they're a contending team, or you'll have a team that's supposed to be elite, and then all of a sudden they're near the bottom. Just kind of have to go after what you think your team's going to do and build off of that. The draft is coming up. We will have some more Dynasty content coming up before that. We'll do a mock draft at some point. Maybe we'll do a mock draft for our league. We'll have our picks. Zach can help me make some picks since I have his.
Yeah, I'll tune in when there's like 5 minutes left in the show to make that.
So we'll talk about some of those ideas. We'll do some free agency winners and losers next week, so we could talk about that. We got lots of stuff to talk about. You'll make sure you want to stay tuned. I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank you for watching. Zach from Ocean State, thank you for being here. Jeff and Will from MEedia.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here. Go check out the app, as I said before. Catch me on there. Jeff's on there. Ask me some questions. I can ask you guys some questions, some community questions. Definitely a great place to be. Go check it out. Get in there before everyone's on it. Everyone will be on it eventually, so you want to be able to say you're one of the first. I was on it before it blew up. So go on there. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back next week. Thank you.
All right.
All right.